They were supposed to be the future of basketball. Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, two extraordinary talents fused together by circumstance and ambition on a team in Oklahoma City that seemed to have luck and timing on its side. Durant arrived as a smooth scoring genius, an effortless bucket maker who could do things with a jumper that made grown men gasp. Westbrook arrived as a relentless force of nature, explosive, boisterous, and sometimes chaotic. A player whose motor and ferocity were as rare as his turnovers. Together, they were an intoxicating blend of grace and fury, a combination that promised championships and legend. From the moment they became teammates, expectations were enormous. The franchise struck gold when it added James Harden and Serge Ibaka to the mix, creating a core so talented that critics and fans alike whispered about dynasties. Early seasons were messy and electric, growing pains, flashes of brilliance, and the kind of chemistry that was thrilling one night and fragile the next. Oklahoma City climbed from irrelevance to contention, but behind the high-scoring nights and the thunderous plays, there were tensions that no one could easily paper over. In December, during a game where emotions ran high, Westbrook berated a teammate for passing up an open shot, and Durant, trying to calm the situation, was swatted away in a moment that revealed deeper friction. It was a small public incident, but it signaled a pattern. Two alpha personalities with different temperaments learning to coexist under the pressure of expectation. The Thunder's 2012 playoff run felt like destiny, sweeping seasoned opponents and punching through a gauntlet of future Hall of Famers. But their finals meeting with Miami exposed the limits of youth. Despite the loss, the organization thought it had a blueprint: talent plus time equals a championship. Then, in one of the most famous personnel errors of the modern era, the front office chose caution over boldness and failed to sign James Harden to a maximum contract. Harden, feeling undervalued, was traded. And overnight, the roster lost a piece who would blossom into an MVP and perennial all-star. The trade changed the trajectory of the franchise. OKC still won 60 games in the following season, but fate intervened when Westbrook's knee was injured in a playoff collision, ending his season prematurely and forcing Durant to carry an impossible burden. In those moments of solitary excellence, Durant's greatness was undeniable. He scored in bunches, carried teams late into games, and proved he could lead. Yet the absence of his co-star exposed how fragile their model was without a complementary system. In subsequent seasons, injuries piled up and roles fluctuated. Westbrook endured surgeries, Durant won the MVP, and both men experienced the uncomfortable truth that individual brilliance cannot always substitute for cohesive structure. By 2016, Oklahoma City looked like it might finally break through. Under new coaching and with the pieces healthier, they tore through playoffs opponents and found themselves up 3-1 against the Golden State Warriors in a series that seemed scripted against them. For a few intoxicating games, everything aligned. Westbrook's ferocity, Durant's scoring, and a supporting cast that defended with purpose scraped for rebounds. Then Game 6 happened. Klay Thompson's shooting display, a cascade of turnovers, and a late-game collapse turned a promising lead into the most painful kind of defeat. The Warriors completed a comeback that left the Thunder and their fans numb. Sports often hinge on singular moments, and that series felt like a hinge that finally swung the relationship between Durant and Westbrook into dangerous territory. Durant wanted continuity, rhythm, and more passing. He wanted an offense that moved and redistributed responsibility. Westbrook thrived in chaos, in isolation, and in the unpredictable ferocity of his drives. These were stylistic differences at their core, and when combined with the sting of falling short, they became personal. The summer of 2016 became a crucible. Durant, who had dined with Westbrook shortly before free agency, announced a decision that stunned the league. He was signing with Golden State, the very team that had defeated them. The choice was rationalized in many ways: championship opportunity, embracing a team with a proven system. But for those in OKC, it felt like betrayal. Westbrook learned of the decision. Social media and commercials turned into battlefields. Westbrook posted photos that alluded to toughness, while Durant's interviews praised a culture of togetherness that sounded like criticism of his former team. Their public quarrels, cupcake jokes, passing jibes, and the occasional public cold shoulder became fuel for narratives about loyalty, cowardice, and the modern condition of superstar basketball. When they met on the court, the tension flashed instantly. Boos from a hostile crowd, a sideline confrontation, and eyes glued to every exchange. The All-Star Weekend, once a time for camaraderie, hovered on awkwardness as teammates and journalists talked about the palpable silence. Westbrook's explosive triple-double season and MVP award contrasted with Durant's championship accolades in California, crystallizing the paradox. Different routes to validation, both bearing heavy cost. As the years passed, petty moments persisted. Likes on social posts, snipes from family members, branding plays that felt like veiled attacks. But so did truth. Durant admitted later that sitting in a franchise where he had to be the primary creator and the primary shooter had worn thin. Westbrook, relentlessly proud, argued that loyalty and identity mattered in ways headlines failed to capture. The story shifted from a binary of villain and hero to something more nuanced. Two champions shaped by different values, each making choices that reflected deeply personal perceptions of duty, legacy, and happiness. Time proved to be an imperfect salve, but it worked. In later seasons, when careers led them to different teams and the noise faded, they found moments of mutual respect. Durant defended Westbrook's competitive fire in player interviews. Westbrook returned praise and acknowledged the complexities of professional life. A dap in a tunnel, a casual exchange at a game, and a public compliment on television suggested wounds closing. Their relationship did not revert to its earliest brotherhood, but it matured into an uneasy truce, and perhaps something like understanding. Their saga leaves a constellation of what-ifs. What if Harden had remained? What if an offensive philosophy had been installed and fully embraced? What if they had learned to sacrifice different things at different times? Those questions will be debated by fans and analysts for decades. What remains clear is this: Durant and Westbrook did not merely share minutes on a stat sheet. They co-authored a chapter in NBA history defined by tension, brilliance, and human complexity. They gave us breathtaking highlights and tormenting heartbreaks. They showed how two supremely talented individuals can elevate a franchise but still be pulled apart by ego, injury, and circumstance. In the end, their story is not simply about betrayal or loyalty. It is about ambition and the costs of chasing legacy, about friendship strained under public scrutiny, and about two men who were forced to choose different ways to define success. They were also symbols of an era where social media amplified every small slight into a national story, and where player movement forced fans to reconsider loyalty. Coaches, from Scott Brooks to Billy Donovan, tried to manage egos and personalities while also drawing up game plans. And the front office wrestled with payroll choices that still spark arguments on forums and podcasts. Durant's decision to leave created a template for how modern stars think about fit and legacy, while Westbrook's relentless will to win became a blueprint for intensity and resilience. Flaws and all, both players left indelible marks. Durant with his lethal scoring and quiet competitiveness. Westbrook with his cultural ferocity and refusal to be diminished by criticism. Along the way, they changed how teams are built, how teammates relate, and how the public narrates success. Veterans and rookies alike learned that raw talent needs careful architecture to translate into championships. Now, when younger players study film, they see Durant's shooting mechanics and Westbrook's savagely efficient attack on the rim. They also see the human lessons about patience, communication, and sacrifice. Their rivalry forced executives to rethink talent evaluation and contract strategy, pushed coaches to innovate schematics, and left a generation of fans debating what truly defines greatness. And while the headlines often reveled in the drama, the quieter reality involved families, friendships, and mental health, real people dealing with colossal pressure under public gaze. Ultimately, the narrative matured from a hot take into an enduring case study. Two supremely gifted athletes who rose together and drifted apart, only to reach a more measured respect later in life, remind us that sports mirror life. If you love this kind of story, raw, nuanced, and never simple, then you know the league is richer for it. Hit subscribe if you want more deep dives into the rivalries that shaped modern sports, and drop a comment telling us which moment in their saga haunted you the most. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and turn on notifications to catch every future video. Every story, every twist, every truth about the game you love now.